in the wilderness, you begin to think wilderness thoughts. In the wilderness, your culture begins to take on a wilderness identity. Your existence becomes faded in the wilderness by your wilderness experiences. And I'm about sure that after 40 years of the wilderness, the children of Israel began to lose hope and lose faith about that which was to come. But just about the time, Pastor D.E., when one generation begins to lose hope about being in the wilderness, God will send another generation to take us from where we are to where we're going. Just about the time we begin to lose faith about where we are, God will send another generation to take us from where we are to where we're going. Some folk ask me, said, Rev. Markel, why would you run against John Lewis for Congress? He's an icon of our people. Why would you run against John Lewis, who has sacrificed so much and given so much to our people? But I just believe that where God sends a Moses, he will also send a Joshua. I feel like preaching here. Just as Moses couldn't bring the children of Israel over the Red Sea, just as Joshua couldn't bring the children of Israel over the Red Sea, Moses couldn't take them over the second leg of the journey, because Moses' assignment was his and Joshua's assignment was his. I better tell you, some of you Moseses need to sit down so some of these Joshuas can stand up. I better say that again. Some of you Moseses and Mosettas better sit down so some of these Joshuas and Joshuitas can stand up. You did your job bringing us over the Red Sea. Now it's Joshua's turn to do his job and take us to the promised land. And so 40 years later, God sent a Joshua. Joshua went down into the wilderness to rescue the children of Israel. We see in Numbers, Moses asked the question of the 12 spies, can we inhabit the land? They came back 10 with an evil report. But Joshua and Caleb said, yes, we can. God is looking in this hour for some Joshuas and Calebs that will say in the face of adversity, yes, we can. God said, all right, Joshua, I want you to do it a little differently than Moses did. He said, because the first time when I brought the children of Israel over the Red Sea, they got in the wilderness and forgot what had happened to them and who it was that brought them over. So this time I want you to do things a little differently. He said, I want you to lay some stones and build a memorial so that when your children ask you in times to come, what mean these stones? You can tell them where you came from and you can tell them who it was that bought you. So why lay the stones? 3 reasons. And I'm finished. First reason he said, I want you to lay the stones, is so that when your children ask you, what mean the stones? You can tell your children where you came from. He said, but there's a second reason I want you to lay the stones. He said, I want you to lay the stones so that you don't forget yourself where you came from. You know, some of us develop selective amnesia. We get in a place of goodness and we forget from which we've come, not to mention those who are stuck where we came from. I know some of you drive fine cars and live in fine homes now, but some of you are from the country. You had to walk many miles to school with holes in your shoes. I know you drive a fine car now, but there was once a time when some of you had to eat cornbread and buttermilk. I didn't say cornbread. I said cornbread and buttermilk. And now that you have gotten to a royal place, you've forgotten from whence I better go on here. He said the third reason that I want you to lay the stones is so that you won't go backwards. Can't you hear them saying in Numbers, we ought to assign a captain and take us back to our home in bondage? In this yes we can generation, God is saying to us, we better lay some stones so that we don't go back to the places that we came from. And I believe that as the 10 came back, they reported that the land was an exceedingly good place. They said there are grapes in the land. It's a marvelous place. There's milk and honey in the land. Moses said, I understand all that. But the question that I have for you is, can we take the land? The 10 answered the question by saying, no, we can't. But 2 of them said, yes, we can. I'm going to leave you here now. But the question is asked in this hour, can our children be educated like they used to be? And I believe there are 10 around somewhere that say, no, they cannot. But I came by here to tell you, yes, they can. They said the educational system here is flawed. No, we cannot take the land. But I hear Joshua and Caleb said, yes, but our God is omnipotent. What does that mean? He's all-knowing. He's got the world in his hands. The 10 said, but there are giants in the land. But Joshua and Caleb said, yeah, but our God has got all power in his hand. And they said, yeah, but the food supply is bad over there. But Joshua and Caleb said, but the God I serve has never forsaken me. And he has not brought us this far to leave us now. I wonder, is there anybody here that feels like I do? Yes, 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 yes. Can we feed the hungry? Yes. Can we clothe the naked? Yes. Can we house the homeless? Yes. Yes, we can.